Hi! Welcome back to Playing God, the game of arting. This week I'll be drawing Weber from Don't Starve. Now, I know I've already drew Don't Starve characters just a few weeks ago, and I could technically argue that Weber is from the Reign of Giants DLC and not the main game, so I can get away with this. But that's not the route I'm gonna go with. I actually did get a request specifically to draw Weber, so here we are. Now, if you've watched the Wendy and Abigail speed draw, I don't have that much to tell you in terms of staging or anything like that. If you've seen any of our other episodes, both Tori and I have covered most of the artistic basics a few times. So instead, I'm going to talk about acting. Acting is, simply, the choices you have your character make in order to tell a story. Typically, this term's used in movies or animation because you're making the character do things. It's just as important in a still, though. Now, Weber, as we know him, is a child that was eaten by a spider and then resurrected as a playable character in the DLC. He's very naive and has a low sanity. He's scared easily, to be precise. I intended to make this sketch portray that fear. There are certain aspects to his body language that portray emotion. First, curve the line of action away from whatever it is that's terrifying your character. Out of, laziness, I made the terrifying thing dark. All Don't Starve characters are scared of the dark, and the monster lives within it. The monster's name is Charlie. Bend the knees in a fight-or-flight response. I throw his hands up in defense, a last shaking ounce of protection between him and Charlie. Fear is a slew of curves and bends, very few straight limbs, and especially no straight back. A straight back is usually a sign of arrogance or confidence, or a parade rest if you're doing a military character. As always, play around with your sketch. As you've seen, I've changed my mind a few times during this process. More than a few in some cases. The final pose looks nothing like the long-legged thing I started out with. That was more of a jump back, reacting to a creature. What I end up with is more nervous, frightened, unsure. Which is what I wanted, so good on me for that. I recommend either using yourself as reference, find a mirror, throw up your hands, take note of what your body's doing, or looking online for pictures or videos of scared people. References are always your friend. Always. Now, lines are pretty standard. The only difference is, once again, I dropped the stabilizer for the Don't Starve aesthetic. Gotta rule that wobbly line feeling of looseness and despair. Something that I forgot to do, and I'm telling you this so you can do it in my stead. When you're done, take the figure and outline them to push them forward in space. We're skipping flats again, all the way up to the details. Now, usually, flat colors are just one solid wash, but if your character is one solid color all the way through, you're gonna have to give them some details. Especially if that one solid color all the way through is hair. Don't Starve gives us a helping hand here. The furred characters naturally have the accents in their hair. Take all the advantage of that, use what's in the actual palette. It helps you out so much so you don't have to make up colors off the top of your head. Now, before I get into shading, let us draw our tiny light source. Remember when I said he and every other Don't Starve character is terrified of the dark? Well, let's start building a tiny campfire, one that's about to go out. Good plan! It's an extremely simple shape because it's a game piece. First you go with the sketch, then the lines, then the details, working off your reference. It's just a little piece, you got this. Fire in this style, when you get to it, is really fun to color, especially to have that glow effect. I love glow effects. Remember, white in the middle, and then glow color on the outside, and then blur the heck out of it until you think you can't blur it anymore. Don't Starve Fire especially looks a little like paper, so it's cool to just mess around a bit. I was tempted to put a texture down, but I abstained. Feel free to do it if you'd like, I think it'd look really cool. Once you get past this, it's just staging and shadow and then background. Nothing really spectacular to comment on. Although, considering Weber here is mostly in the dark and his light is fading exceptionally fast, there isn't going to be a lot of light, especially fewer highlights too. Keep that in mind as you carve out shadows with the brush tool. For the Don't Starve feel, you know you gotta use that brush tool. Other than that, just go out as usual. You got this, man. If you don't got this, leave us a note. We will help you get this. That is what we are here for. Background, to go with my last Don't Starve piece, is another sketch of ground hauled up out of the earth. Nothing really terribly special. It is better, however, than spots. I can tell you, it is so much better than spots. But it's really just some organic shades wiggled around and colored/textured appropriately. With the lighting, of course, the same lighting on everything else. A good way to get all of your pieces in the same space is, of course, to light them all from the exact same source. Sunlight is usually the go-to, but here we have a tiny campfire, which works too. Done! Yeah! If you'd enjoyed this episode of Playing God, leave a comment below. Or if you haven't, so we can do better next time. We'd love to answer all of your questions and whatever stuff you have. Plus, we'd love suggestions for who to draw next. Otherwise, we might just start shuffling through our favorite games, which is, it's pretty. It's really pretty, but it's also indie, so it'll be nice to look at least. As always, I wish you a good night, or, good morning, or evening, or afternoon. Midday, that's gotta be it. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. We don't judge your times. Bye-bye!